嗨，大家好，今天我们要聊一场科技圈重量级的对话。11月19号，在华盛顿特区的沙特投资论坛上，特斯拉 CEO 马斯克和英伟达 CEO 黄仁勋罕见同台，深入讨论了 AI 的未来。那这场对话呢，聚焦在几个关键问题：AI 会把世界带到哪里？未来的工作会被怎样改变？AI 会如何影响区块链和比特币？两位大佬也分享了自己的看法和愿景。马斯克认为 AI 和机器人即将颠覆一切，黄仁勋强调 AI 已经成为新的全球基础设施，就像电力一样。那当然，他们也都提到了现实的担忧，比如就业可能会被大量替代， AI 泡沫是否可能会破裂，社会又该如何应对这种技术速度呢？这场对话不仅讨论了科技，更和我们实际生活密切相关，包括加密货币的未来趋势。大家如果想知道 AI 会把比特币带往哪里，这一期你一定要听到最后。那接下来我们就一起看看吧。首先我们来看看马斯克关于人工智能的一些看法。
Humanoid robotics, there are no useful humanoid robots at this point. There are sort of gimmicks, but there are no actually useful humanoid robots. And I think Tesla's going to make the first actually useful humanoid robots. And this will be quite a revolution, and I think something that everyone will want. Because I always think of who wouldn't want their own personal C3PO R2D2?
Oh yeah?
Of course, everyone would want one, right? And then there would be many in industry providing products and services. This is why I say that humanoid robots will be the biggest industry, or the biggest product ever. Bigger than cell phones or anything else, because everyone's going to want one, and or maybe more than one, and there'll be many in industry.
I just want R2D2 in C3PO's body.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, I mean, a humanoid robot would be better than R2D2 and C3PO combined times 10.
Yeah.
So people often talk about sort of eliminating poverty and that kind of thing, but really how long have they been talking about that? There's lots of talk, there's lots of NGOs sort of trying to do these things, but really not succeeding, and the evidence speaks for itself. But AI and humanoid robots will actually eliminate poverty. And Tesla won't be the only one that makes them. I think Tesla will pioneer this, but there will be many other companies that make humanoid robots. But there is only basically one way to make everyone wealthy, and that is AI and robotics.
马斯克在现场直接抛出了一个超级大胆的观点，特斯拉很可能会做出世界上第一个真正能用的人形机器人。他说这不是小升级，而是一场足以改变整个人类社会的科技革命。那在人类历史上还从来没有一个产品的规模能大到像他描述的那样，比手机更大，比任何产业都更大，甚至会成为史上最大的产品。为什么马斯克会这么说？因为在他看来，让所有人都变得更富裕，彻底消除贫困，只有一条路， AI 加机器人。只有当机器人能帮人类完成大部分劳动，人类才能真正从重复性工作中解脱出来。在那个未来时代，工作不再是必须的，而是一个选择。每个人都可以把时间投入到更有意义、更有创造力的事情上。那从这些话里，我们可以看到马斯克一贯的创新哲学，不是摧毁旧世界，而是创造一个更好的新世界。那无论是 SpaceX、特斯拉，还是现在的人形机器人，他都在尝试让科技服务每一个普通人。那看到这里，就会冒出一个很重要的问题：AI 发展得这么快，它到底会给区块链、给比特币带来什么影响？这是很多人都在讨论的问题。那接下来我们就看看马斯克对此给出了怎样的回答。在2025年10月14号，马斯克在推特上发了一条很关键的贴文，他认同 Zero Hedge 的说法。AI 正在变成新的全球军备竞赛，那这是什么意思呢？就是各国为了不落后，会疯狂砸钱发展 AI， 为了筹这些钱，政府大概率会不断印钞，而印的越多，法币就越不值钱，而这时候呢，比特币的优势就被放大了。马斯克的核心观点可以总结成一句话：比特币靠的是能源，而我们都不能假造能源。他认为比特币的能源锚定属性，让它在 AI 引发的通胀时代，反而变成一种抗通胀工具。 为什么呢？因为法币可以无限印制，但比特币的工作量证明 POW 需要真实能源，你不能凭空创造电力，更不能凭空挖出比特币。那马斯克还说到，随着 AI 竞赛愈演愈烈，全球能源需求会快速上升，而这会进一步强调比特币的价值，因为比特币本质上就是把能源变成了一种可以储存、转移、验证的资产形态。也就是说，在 AI 越来越强的未来，比特币不仅不会被削弱，反而会因为能源价值而变得更重要、更稀缺。所以总结下来就是 AI 越发展，比特币就越值得关注，因为 AI 可能会推动法币贬值，而比特币的能源属性会让它在这个时代水涨船高。我们接着来看黄仁勋对 AI 的看法。
And we can't talk about robotics without AI factories. And yesterday was such a historic day for the two nations, but also for all of us, where we celebrate the AI strategic partnership with the US, signed, witnessed by the Honorable President and His Royal Highness, about how we are committing our capital, energy, land to energize the AI US ecosystem, to be able to build inference node, training nodes, and to be the most AI-enabled nation. With that announcement, tell me what's next in AI factories, Jensen?
There's a beautiful story about how Saudi Arabia is building AI refineries and now building AI or oil refineries to AI factories.
I love that.
I've said that AI is an infrastructure, and the reason for that, of course, we understand AI from the perspective of the technology and how it's revolutionizing every industry. Digital intelligence, of course, has applications into every field. And so it's going to be used by every company, every industry, every country. In that way, it's foundational, and therefore it's part of infrastructure. What is new about AI from a computer science perspective is that the way computing was done in the past was largely retrieval-based computing. Mm-hmm. Somebody typed in a story, or somebody created a piece of art, or came up with 4 versions of a digital ad, or it's all pre-built by somebody, which is then using a system to retrieve the appropriate version for you. It's a retrieval-based computing model. Hadoop and many of the frameworks and operating systems of the past, all designed to retrieve the appropriate information for you. But today, software is going to be generated in real time. It's generative. Based on the context, based on the circumstance, based on who you are, based on the problem you asked, based on your prompt, it will generate unique content for you. Every single time, for everybody, it's unique. When you use Grok, every time you use it is different. Just based on the right, based on the prompt that you give it, and based on the circumstance, and so therefore, it used to be retrieval based. Today, it's generative, and if it's generative, then and every time is different, then you need AI factories all over the world to generate the content in real time, which is the reason why you need AI factories. And
在论坛上呢，当主持人问到 AI 工厂的下一步是什么时，黄仁勋给出了一个非常关键的观点。AI 本身就是一种新的基础设施。他解释说，过去几十年，计算主要是搜索式的，你问问题，电脑给答案。但现在一切正在被生成式 AI 重塑，不是去找现成的答案，而是实时创造内容。而要支撑这种生成式 AI 的爆发增长，就必须在全球各地建立所谓的 AI 工厂，也就是随时随地生产数字内容、模型、服务的超级计算中心。简单理解就是，以前世界靠油、靠电运转，未来世界会建 AI 工厂运转。黄仁勋认为 ，AI 会渗透进每一家公司、每一个行业、每一个国家，不管是医疗、制造、教育、金融，还是我们在看的区块链和加密市场 ，AI 都会成为全新的底层动力。同时，他也暗示下一轮计算革命已经开始，而英伟达的芯片会成为全球 AI 工厂的核心引擎。
So Jensen, everybody last night was asking me, and I'm mindful it's earnings call for you today. So I'm going to say this delicately. Everybody has been asking me to ask you, are we going to have an AI bubble?
all right, all right, let me just tell you what we see. Okay, so I think it's really important when you look at what's happening around the world and go back to first principles of what's happening in computer science and computing. There are three things that's happening. The first thing is that we all know that Moore's law has run its course, and the amount of demand for computing versus the amount of computation we can get out of general purpose computing is really challenging. And so the world's been moving to accelerated computing for some time. We've been pushing this now for over 20 years. Let me give you one statistic. I was just at supercomputing. 6 years ago, CPUs were 90% of the world's supercomputers, top 500 supercomputers. 6 years ago. This year, less than 15%. Went from 90% to 10%, and meanwhile, accelerated computing went from the other way, 10% to now 90%. Okay, so you're seeing that inflection point, the transition in high-performance computing from general-purpose computing to accelerated computing. Well, one of the most intensive computation things that the world does in cloud is data processing. Several $100 billion of computation is done on just raw data processing. It has nothing to do with AI. Just SQL processing, data frames, everybody's names, address, their sex, their age, where they live, how much money they make. All of that sits into a data frame, and that data frame drives the world today, whether it's in banking or whether it's in credit cards or, of course, e-commerce and everything from ad recommendation. And everything is driven off of that data frame. That data frame costs hundreds of billions of dollars to go compute. And so that's the number one thing, end of Moore's law. The second thing is generative AI. What the most important application of the last 15 years is called REXs, recommender systems. How do we know what information to recommend to us in a social feed? How do you know what ad to recommend to somebody, what book to recommend, what movie to recommend? The internet is so gigantic without a recommender system that a little tiny phone of us will have no chance of ever seeing the right information. That REXs is the engine of the internet today. That's going generative AI. It used to be running on CPUs, now it runs on GPUs. Which then says the third thing, if you just look at those two applications, many of the internet companies can build an enormous number of GPU supercomputers just doing that. Of course, then it creates the third opportunity on top of it, which is agentic AI. This is Grok, and this is OpenAI, this is Anthropic, this is Gemini. Agentic AI sits on top of that. But don't forget to think about what is happening underneath what everybody sees as AI today. There's a whole movement of computing from general purpose computing to accelerated computing. And that, if you take that into consideration, you'll come to the conclusion that, in fact, what is left over to fuel that revolutionary agentic AI is not only substantially less than you thought, and all of it justified.
主持人问黄仁勋 AI 会不会发展太快，最后变成一场大泡沫。黄仁勋直接否定了这个担心，他说不会，原因非常简单，这次 AI 的需求跟历史上任何一波科技浪潮都完全不一样。他给出了3个关键理由。第一，需求爆发来自3重叠加，现在的 AI 不是单一路线，而是3个趋势一起爆炸。加速计算，所有行业都需要算力；生成式 AI、ChatGPT 一类的应用；代语式 AI、AI Agent 自动帮你完成任务。那3重力量的叠加，自然需求就大到可怕。第二点 ，GPU 的用途完全变了。过去买显卡是为了画面更漂亮，跑游戏做渲染，但现在完全不一样了。GPU 变成了制造智能的大脑，意义完全不是一个等级。全球都在建100亿美元级的 AI 工厂，现在世界各国各大企业都在花几十亿美元建 AI 的数据中心。那这些工厂的投资回报率明确，需求巨大，所以算力根本不够用。马斯克这时候也补了一句，如果这都算泡沫，那它可能会是历史上最有生产力的泡沫。他们2个人的观点一致， AI 投资现在才刚刚开始，未来10年还会继续指数级的增长。刚才通过这段对话，我们其实可以非常清晰的看到，马斯克和黄仁勋2位科技界天花板几乎都在坚定压住 AI 会深刻改变整个人类文明的进程。先说好的部分， AI 的未来他们都无比乐观。坦白讲，我非常认同他们这种建设性乐观主义。如果未来机器人和 AI 真的能承担大部分重复劳动，那人类就真的能够把更多时间花在创造、思考、艺术、科学这些更有价值的事情上。马斯克说，工作将变成可选， 听上去像是科幻，但它不是在做梦，而是真的在往那个方向打造生态。但我们也不能盲目乐观， AI 的进步速度太快了，它确实会替代掉一些传统岗位，那会不会让贫富差距进一步扩大呢？会不会让一部分人被抛下？这些都是现实问题。AI 带来的未来不全是光，也可能伴随风险和不平等。所以 AI 现在最需要的不是炒作，而是可持续的投入、明确的监管和长期建设。那 AI 的爆发对区块链和比特币意味着什么呢？这里的逻辑非常关键。第一点 ，AI 是新的全球军备竞赛，各国政府为了 AI 基建会疯狂砸钱，需要大量印钞，那法币就有可能继续贬值。这里是马斯克直接在推特上直接承认的。第二点，那 AI 的爆发对区块链和比特币意味着什么？这里的逻辑非常关键。第一点 ，AI 是新的全球军备竞赛，各国政府为了 AI 的基建会疯狂砸钱，需要大量印钞，那法币就有可能继续贬值。这是马斯克自己在推特上直接承认的。第二点，比特币是能源的数字化，无法被无限印出来，那就意味着比特币的工作量证明 POW 必须消耗真实能源，你没有办法像印美元一样想印多少就印多少，所以它天然就是对抗无限印钞的工具。第三点 ，AI 推高全球能源需求，反而会强化比特币能源锚定的价值。AI 越强大，算力越夸张，越需要能源，而比特币本身就是能源储存的数字化形式，所以在 AI 时代，它的战略价值不降反升。所以在未来10年 ，AI 和比特币不是竞争关系，而是互相推动、共同强化的一部分。那今天的视频就到这里了，大家是如何看待 AI 的未来呢？它有可能会造成更大的不平等吗？欢迎在评论区留言，我们一起来讨论。还没有点赞和订阅的朋友可以帮我们点一下，非常感谢大家。那最后顺便说一下，大家可以关注我们的官方推特，我们每天会实时更新国际最新的资讯和热点，帮助大家第一时间掌握。那我们下期再见吧，拜拜。